Would you rather speak into a microphone or have a spinal tap? Recent research suggests that voice testing for Alzheimer's disease can be as effective as traditional methods that include extracting cerebrospinal fluid from your lumbar area. In this video, I want to share with you how we diagnose Alzheimer's currently, the challenges with this process, and the advantages of this new method using voice analysis recently discovered by scientists. One of the challenges with Alzheimer's is that it's hard to diagnose. The tangles and plaques of the disease present themselves in the brain years, sometimes decades, before actual cognitive symptoms appear. The only way to know for sure is to have an autopsy done in your brain where they identify the plaques and tangles that are the hallmark of this disease. The only problem with this is no one I know wants to get a brain autopsy. So doctors make what's called a clinical diagnosis. They perform a bunch of tests to rule things in and rule things out, and then they use their best professional opinion to render a determination. Some of the tests that are performed include PET scans and spinal taps, where they analyze biomarkers in your cerebrospinal fluid. Unfortunately, these biomarkers can be faulty. One study showed that 25% of people who were thought to have Alzheimer's based on various biomarkers were found, in fact, not to have Alzheimer's once they passed away and brain autopsies were performed. And this is where the new approach is potentially game-changing. Researchers at the University of Texas Medical Center have found that they can analyze people's voice patterns to identify cognitive impairment long before more severe symptoms begin to show. The authors of the study took about 200 people. Half of them had cognitive impairment and half did not. They were asked to provide a brief description of this piece of art called the circus procession. The scientists then recorded these descriptions and analyzed them using artificial intelligence and natural language processing. And with that, they established a benchmark of conversational ability for each study participant, taking into account such things as the motor control when they spoke, the density and complexity of their ideas and grammar, and other features that make up speech. When they compared these results to the results of the prior tests, they found that voice biomarkers were accurate in determining cognitive status and were also accurate in tracking disease progression as measured by changes in a 2-year follow-up. So why is this good news, and what does it mean for you? First, it's good news for all of us that science is developing predictive tools that help identify Alzheimer's and other dementias early in the progression of the disease, without taking much time and not being invasive and potentially painful like a spinal tap. My personal experience in caring for my mom is that we have to always advocate for our loved ones. And if we suspect that our loved one has Alzheimer's disease, we all want to be aware of testing procedures that are available. And if the conclusion is that they do have Alzheimer's, you want to know as soon as possible so you can prepare appropriately. And this could include additional testing, participation in clinical trials, and lifestyle and end-of-life planning decisions that can minimize the impacts of the disease and how it affects you and the rest of the family. And if you think your loved one might have Alzheimer's, see here my next video on warning signs of the disease.